So guys, today we are going to be building a quiz application. It's going to be a full stack application. So if you are a novice or a newbie to React Native, this application is perfectly for you. So let's just go ahead and see the application that we're going to be working on. So it's a quiz app. When we click on start quiz, it's going to take us to another screen and it's going to make a request to the API that we're going to be making use of and grab these questions, preload it and present it to us. Then we can go ahead to select the right answer. And when we select any answer, it goes over to the next question. So as you select answer, automatically it's calculating both the correct answer, whether you got the correct answer or whether you selected the wrong answer. And at the end, let's just go ahead and go to the end. So I attempted like 2 or 3 questions. It's going to also notify me that at the end. So let me just go over to maybe the 8th question and I'm going to select an answer. And it's going to take me to the 9th and I'm going to select an answer. And lastly, it's going to bring me to the last question. So the last question over here, so let's just select a random answer as well. And when we are done with that, it's going to automatically calculate our score and show us whether we passed the quiz. And you can see your quiz completed successfully. You attempted 6 questions and you only got 4 in the quiz test. So that 4 is 40% of the quiz. So we are going to be using the OpenTDB API to actually work with this quiz application because that's where we're going to be making our API request. So I know I already have a quiz tutorial or video on my channel, but this is more like a more advanced type of quiz because if you can observe, this one has an animation and also a scroll view animation to animate the questions to move from the left to the right. So we also animated the button. If you can observe, the last button over here was supposed to be next, but automatically changed to submit because of the animation feature on it. So don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe button. So guys, if you wish to buy me a coffee, I'm gonna put my link in the description. Just click on that, buy me a coffee. Or if you wish to support my channel through PayPal, you can just go ahead and do that for me to create more quality and mighty content. So let's get started. So don't forget to hit the like button and also the subscribe button. So guys, before we begin, just go over to the description. You're going to see a link to the GitHub repo for the boilerplate that we're going to be making use of. So we have some couple of dependencies we are going to be working with. And you can see we have the Redash reanimated. Exactly, you need these 2 versions. So if you know, if you don't have these 2 versions, I think, okay, yes, that's it over here. You can see the zip file that I added over here for the Redash. Just extract it on your node modules and you're gonna have access to all the Redash 14.2.1 functions for animation. So let's go ahead and start with Shopify Restyle. Over here you can see I'm using Shopify Restyle and I'm just going to go over to components. I'm going to create a file called theme. So the theme file is already created. So for the theme, you're going to import from at Shopify. So I don't know why I'm making mistakes so early, but I'm gonna take it easy. Shopify Restyle. Then we have to bring in the create text. Why I like working with Shopify Restyle, since I noticed it, is because it's more like when you're working with XML and it makes things more direct and restricts some things. Maybe your styles you don't want to make use of, you will see that you don't even need to put those things down. So it kind of makes things simple like you're working with XML. Then we have the create box. And lastly, we have to import from React Native size matters. So this size matters is for scaling to give us a perfect width and height for any form of scale or height. So I'm going to import moderate scale. So I'm going to create a theme. And I'm going to define some colors. So I can define white. And I'm going to define the primary color, which is H2133A0. And I'm going to define the text color, which is H272A29. I'm going to define the button, which is H7C, I think 7C72FF. So I'm just going to do this quickly, then we can proceed. Then I'm going to add color, the spacing So for the spacing, we have the small to be 8, the medium to be 16. So it all depends on your choice. You can use your own values if you want. Then we have the extra large to be 40. And I'm going to define the border radius. So all these things are on Shopify Restyle GitHub page, so you can just go over there and check it. So I'm just going to define 10. We have the large to be 25, and we have the extra large to be 75. Then we have the text variants. So text variants are more like you can define a particular title and description. Font size is special with our font size, each for anyone you maybe key values you want to use. So we have the text variants, we have the title, then we have the font size. Then the font size is for the we are going to be using the moderate scale to be 15. So the moderate scale actually makes use of your device viewports to actually give you round it up to the nearest value that is going to be perfect for any scale or any size you apply it to. So we have the font family. So at the font family, we are using the gold tone black. Then we have the color to be white. So why I use white here is because I defined white over here. So if you use any color that is not over here, even if you use an X color, it's going to automatically give you an error. So you must make sure you define your colors. Then you use your defined colors to style your variants in your text variants. Then we have the body, font size of 16. We have the line height of 25. Then we have the font family of Gotham medium. Then we have the text as well to be text. So we have the text over there, and that's something like a dark color. Then we have the body and the bottom and the button. So for the okay, we already have put the body. For the button, we have the font size 15, font family as Gotham bold, and we have the color to be text. Then lastly, we have breakpoints, but we are not going to be using breakpoints. So let me just add that so that we don't experience any error. Then at the end over here, I'm going to export type of theme. So this theme is comes from the Shopify theme. So which type of theme? So let me just go ahead at the top and import that theme. I think it comes from here. So sorry guys, I just made a mistake. This theme over here is a type of this theme because why I just totally forgot what I should do. But this, like when you want to create a theme, when you want to make use of box or text, you must use a theme. So we are going to make use of the theme that we defined at the top. Then we can export cons text. So this text, you can actually just export type of theme and stop, but for the benefit of others that might find it difficult to flow with, let's just go ahead and create our own theme over here. We can create a theme, and that's it. You can create a text or a box just like that, or a box like this. So you can just bring in a create box, but you must specify the type. So you can create your own theme just like we just did. Then you can pass the theme over here. So why I exported this, maybe as you proceed, we want to create a different theme, then we can just use the theme to create either the box or the text that we want. So, and we can just pass in theme over there. And lastly, we can export default to be theme. So that's it for Shopify Restyle. So the theme over here, you can see exactly everything that we are making use of here. So I don't know why I'm having this red squiggly line, but I don't think that this is an error. And let's move ahead. Maybe it's because of the TypeScript feature, but let's move ahead and start our application. So I'm just going to start Yawn Android. So when we start, it's going to automatically close this down because this is a preview of the app that we are building, and we can just give that some seconds. So guys, let's go ahead and work on this first screen over here. The first screen containing these students with this curvy shape at the bottom, which is very simple. So the first thing we have to do is to return a safe area. So I'm just gonna give it a style of flex of 1. I'm gonna give it a padding top of constant.status bar height. And inside that we are gonna have 2 boxes. For now, let's just bring 2 boxes. Then we're gonna have sorry, we are not using a style over here. Remember that we're using a style. Then we have a flex of 1. Give it a background color of white, and we can justify the content to the center. Then we can give it the content is flex start, not center. So why we actually use flex start is because for this one we're gonna give it a fixed height, so that it's going to float at the top. So I'm gonna be using the height from dimensions. So I'm just going to bring in height from dimensions.get window. So this is gonna be the height, but we only need 50% of that height. I'm gonna justify all the items to center and align the items to the center. So let's say if everything works perfectly, we are not supposed to get any error. So you can see we don't have any issues. Right now inside here, we're gonna have another box. So this box is going to house the images. So for the height, we're going to be using the React Native size matter vertical scale. I'm gonna give it a 250 height and a width of 250 as well. So this one I'm gonna use a moderate scale of 250. Then I'm gonna give it a background color of white as well. So let me format that. I think I have to increase this font size a little bit because I want it to be bold. We have preferences, settings, font size, maybe make it 20. I think 20 is better. Okay, something like this look good. Then I can close this. Then we can align the items to the center and justify the content as well to the center. And we're gonna give it a padding of the medium padding. Then inside here, we're gonna bring in an image. So let's check, we don't have any, okay, we have an image and it's going to have a source of welcome art set. Then it's gonna have a style flex of 1 or a resize mode of contain. Oh, sorry guys for that. I need to close this properly and let's save and check. So you can see we have that image actually showing right now. So we've done the first part and let's go ahead and do the second part, which is at the bottom. So let's go over to this design. So if you can observe here, we're gonna have a curvy top, then we're gonna have another box. So we're gonna do it in 2 ways because I don't want to use D3. If you use D3, of course you can draw something like this with D3. But we are not using D3 in this case because it's not an animation video. It's just a simple design system. So let's just go ahead and figure out a way on how to do that. So beneath this box, this second box over here, remember that we're using flex start. So this one goes to the top. So anything that we use here and add a flex of 1 is going to automatically take the remaining width and the remaining height. I'm going to bring in an animated .view. So the animated .view is coming from React Native React Animated. And it's going to accept some inline styling. So the first one is going to have a background color of, so we are going to be taking colors from the theme. So in the theme we have the primary color, and it's going to have a height of 35% of the height. So we are not going to be using a flex of 1, or even if we use it, there's no issue, but I want us to have a height. Then we are going to have another box that is going to be a height, but that box we are going to give it a radius so that it's going to be in a circular shape. Then we're going to overlay it on this one, overlay this one on that one, and give them the same background color. This one is going to take the screen width, and I'm going to give it a position of absolute. And because of the position of absolute, we are going to make it to stay at the bottom, and we have to align the content itself to the center. Then we can give it a padding. Let's just give it a padding of 20, and let's save and check. So you can see we have something similar, that then it's remaining this curvy shape, which is also very simple. So inside this, let's just go ahead and add a text. Then we can now go ahead and finish that shape. So let me just add a text of, so this text is quiz app. So if you can remember, we have a variant of title. So the text is going to be coming from React Native Restyle. So if you can observe, if you understand, when we started, we used the theme, we exported a theme. We can actually create a text with a theme, but we created all those texts over there. So we have the variant of title, and we have the margin. We are going to do the margin bottom. So guys, I'm kind of being fast, so that's why I'm making a lot of mistake. Then we have the text aligned to center. So let's save and preview, and you can see we have quiz app over there. Then beneath that, we are going to have the text and the button. So we have the text, give it a variant. For this one, is going to be the body. So this one is going to accept the test of improve your skills, improve your app building skills, and upgrade your personal growth. So guys, do make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button. So the one remaining now is the button, but for now we are not going to touch the button, because we're going to create our own custom button to look more neat, like something like this. So at the top here, we have to go back at that top, because we want to create that shape. It's going to be an animated.view. We don't have anything inside, so let me just close it here, but it's going to have a style. So inside here we have the background color, same background color with theme.colors.primary. Then we have the height. So the height, I'm going to increase the height. So you can actually use percentages to maybe let's say the screen height, and you can multiply it with either, let's say 20%, but let me just give it a fixed height. Then we can give it a width multiplied by 2, because we want it to span more than the current width. Then the border radius is what makes it looks more curvy. So let's just increase that to 1000, give it a position of absolute. So because of this position of absolute, we can be able to align the cell to center. And lastly, because of the position of absolute, for the bottom, we are not going to be making use of a bottom 0. We are going to be making use of the device height to actually place it where we want it to be for every device. So the solution is, let's use top. I want it to be a little bit down than the current top height. So that's exactly, I'm using 52% here, and here we're using 50%. And let's go ahead and save that and check, and you can see we have that round 9 shape. And for this one, we didn't actually style it. We have color of white, then text aligned to center, and we can give it a margin bottom of M. and that solves it. And let's check back, and you can see we have this nice looking bottom part. So I want the status bar to have same color just like we have over here. So if you can let's say observe here, we have this bluish background color at the status bar, and that's very simple to add. Beneath this we can add a status bar. We can add give it a background color of theme.colors primary. Then we can give it a style of light. Oh, sorry guys for that. And let's save and check again. And you can see we have something that looks a little bit nice than what we had before. So for the button, let's say at this bottom here we have a button. Let's go ahead and create a custom button, because the custom button is what we're going to be using for our quiz as well. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to just type down button. So it's going to have a variant of primary. Then we have a label. We're going to give it a label of start quiz. Then we can give it an onPress handler, which is going to take the navigation. So for this one now, it's going to take a navigation that will navigate us to the next stack. So for now, let me just leave that, and let's add a text transform of uppercase, and that's it for this button. So let's go ahead and create this button. So in the project folder, we are going to create a folder called utils. So I'm going to create a folder called utils. Okay, we already have utils folder. Okay, we already have the button created. I was thinking we didn't create it initially. So, and that will save us some cool time. So you can see we have the button. I'm just going to come over to the welcome, and I think the way we exported that from the index, that looks good. I'm also going to export the last one, which is the answer button. It's going to come from the answer button. I think I'm actually getting this right. Yeah. So I'm just going to come at the top here. Let me just name this utils. Same thing with this theme. Let me kind of arrange this. And here we can import from utils. Can import button from utils. And okay, that's okay. And let's go ahead and refresh. And you can see we have our button, but this thing seems not to be at the center. So let's go ahead and arrange everything to be at the center. And that's because we didn't align the items to the center. So every time my keyboard keeps changing, yeah, to the center. So let's save that and check again. Oh, align items. So right now we have the welcome screen, which is actually showing us this nice background with some cool effect. And let's go ahead and handle our navigation. So we are using React Navigation from React Navigation 5, which come with the ability for us to use the TypeScript feature. So I'm going to be making use of the interface, and we're going to name this welcome props, which is going to be an object. So in this welcome props, we are going to grab the navigation from composite navigation. So composite navigation prop actually comes from React Navigation. So why we are actually using composite navigation prop is going to accept any kind of navigation. Take for example, inside here, we can bring in the stack navigator. So if you can recall, we are using a stack navigator. So although that I didn't show you at first, but over here we are using a stack navigator. So we have the onboarding and also the question routes. So because of that, I'm going to bring Stack Navigator. So it's called Stack Navigation Prop. So the Stack Navigation Prop, let me close this properly. It accepts our current route. So our current route stacks is onboarding route. Then we can specify the current route we are. And it needs one more stack navigation route, which is the question route we want to navigate to. So I think, okay, yeah, the question route, only that I have to change this to our stack route, and that solves it. So everything here is from React Navigation. I'm going to take it to the top. Let's say over here. And that solves it. So back here, we can now use, let me just remove this navigation. Okay, we've not yet brought it in at the top. So we can use an object here with welcome props, navigation, and it's going to accept navigation.navigate to, and you can see automatically it's recommending our route. Then we can select question. So when we select question and over here we click on start, it's going to take us to the question route. So this is kind of looking more like the React Navigation hooks from React Navigation 4, which is actually pretty cool. But for me, if you really want to build an app, let's say a more standard app, don't go for React Navigation 5 because there are new things that are still coming out. You can go to React Navigation 4 because there are a lot of cool features like the shared element transition, which is actually cool. So you can see we have this nice looking transition that looks like shared element transition. So right now, let's go over to the question stack, the question component, I mean. So let's go ahead and preview our design. So in our design over here, you can see we have the question, the title, the question, then we have the answers. So this, we're going to represent this as numbers. Then we have here the button, and at the end is going to change from next to submit. And here we have the finish screen. So let's go ahead and design this screen. So inside here, I'm going to create a component called question container. There's nothing that is going to be there much, so let me just go ahead and create a file. I don't know why I'm using precision. So guys, I'm not perfect, but do make sure you fix your errors. So why I actually created this is because I don't want to repeat exactly what I did here. We can even change this to maybe quiz container. So let me just say quiz container. So going back here, you can rename this to quiz container. And it's going to accept children. This is coming from quiz container props. Interface quiz container props. So which does have children, which is a React elements from React. Let me change this properly. So we have children. So over here we can just change everything here to save area view. Then same thing that we did for the other one. It's just that I want to replace everything. Maybe you have many screens. You don't want to repeat things together. So I think it's best that you create something like this. So which is going to be coming from constants. We're going to import constants from expo constants. Then we have constant dot status bar height. Then we have the flex of 1. So we are having an issue here is because I didn't close this properly. Then inside this, we're gonna have the children. Then at the end, we're gonna have the status bar, which is going to have a background color of theme.colors primary, and it's going to have a style of lights. So that solves it, and we can just come over here and change this to quiz container, and I can close it properly. And of course it's going to give us a warning, but we can come back to the welcome screen and wrap everything there to the quiz container. So I can just get rid of this and use the quiz container. So let's save that and let's kind of preview our application, preview the last stack, and everything still looks normal. But okay, let's kind of remove this padding top to see whether it's going to work properly. Still working fine. So when we create a separate container, it kind of makes things look more simple. So back in our question, so the first thing we have to do is to create a box and give it a flex of 1. Flex of 1. Then inside our box, we are going to create another box. This time around, I need to be very, very careful. I don't like the errors I'm making. So I'm going to import box from theme. So we're going to bring in the box and the text. And inside this box, we're gonna justify the content to the flex start. So I'm going to tell you why we justified everything to flex start, but don't worry, let's just move ahead. But it's going to take a flex of 1 and a flex direction of column. Then inside our box, we're going to have another box. So why we gave this a flex start is because we're going to have a box that have a fixed height, and we want it to automatically take the top position because of the flex stack. Then the remaining spacing is going to be used by something else. So we can give it a height of vertical scale. So we can say the height. So we're going to grab its dimensions that gets window. So let me just quickly bring in the width as well. So we want 30% of the screen height, and the background color is going to be the primary color. Then over here we're gonna have this the scroll view. So let's kind of preview what we are doing. Click on Start Quiz, and you can see that design over here is exactly what we are doing. So I'm not gonna touch the curvy part of this. So I have already showed you how you can actually do it on the first stack of the screen. So if you want to do it on this one, you can just create a view, give a position absolute, expand the width and the height, then position it using the screen height percentage. So that's the best you can do it. The best way you can do it, I mean. So over here, we're going to have a scroll view, because these questions are not only one question, it's going to be scrolling. So we're going to have a scroll view. So in this scroll view, we're going to have something called the question slide. So question slide is a component, but back at the scroll view, we're going to have a ref. So I'm just going to create a ref called scroll, which is going to use ref, and it's going to use an animated or scroll view, and it's going to accept a value of null at first. So the ref is going to be the scroll, and then we are going to have it to go to the horizontal. Then we want to snap everything to interval, to the width interval. Then we can give it a deceleration rate of fast. I think we have something like scroll throttle event. If you want this to run on 60 fps, so we use scroll throttle event of 60 milliseconds. Then we can restrict the bounces to false. And there we are going to have a question slide. So let's go ahead and create a component called question slide. So guys, don't forget to hit the like button and also the subscribe button. So let me rename this properly. So we have the question slide. So in the question slide, we are going to actually design a lot of things inside there, but not much, because the main thing there is just it's going to contain the title and the questions. So let's create a data file. So this data file is going to export const of questions, an array of questions. So inside this array, we're going to have different objects. So the first one is going to be the question. So I'm going to ask you, how do you cook? I cook with water. Then we have the answers. And the answers is, I cook with stove or tradition. I cook with native codes, new tradition. I cook with kettle, only if you drink water or coffee. Then we have the last one, I cook with rice. I don't know how you're gonna cook with rice, but I know you cook. So we're gonna duplicate this multiple times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the next question can be, how do you eat? The third one is, how do you program? Of course, I'm not going to touch the answers. I just want to have different questions. And we have, how do you see? And we can also say, how do you subscribe? So guys, hit the like button and also the subscribe button, and also how do you like. So inside here, inside our scroll view, we're gonna have the questions. So we have the questions. I think it's not actually working for now. So we exported questions. So I can do it again, questions. Okay, let's go ahead and import that directly. Import from data. So we have the questions over there. Then we can map that questions.map. So in this map, we can actually grab the questions and the index. For now, let's just go ahead and do it this way for now. I think I'm making mistakes somewhere. Let me just quickly do that. Yeah. So I'm going to remove this. And inside here, we have an object. Then we have the index. So we're going to wrap this on the fragment because I don't want that key error. Then the key is going to be the index. Then over here, we have the question. So we can pass the question as a prop down here. And that solves it. So I think we are not supposed to receive anything because we've not yet touched the question slide. So inside the question slide right away, we are going to create an interface of question slide props, which is going to accept the question. So the question is going to be a string of array. Then over here, I think we got that. So if we got that, we are not supposed to get that, or we didn't get it, but don't worry, since we are not actually doing exactly this, we are going to be working with the ones that we get from our API request. So we have the question. So each of these is going to have a box. Each of the question is going to have a box. Then inside that box, we are going to let's go ahead and get the width and the height from dimensions.get window. So over here we have this box is going to come from theme. We have the width over here. Then inside here we're going to align all the items at first to the center. Then we can give it a padding for a little bit of spacing from the top. Then inside there we are going to have a text. So let me just go ahead and bring that text. So it's going to have a variant of, we're going to use a variant of title. So this duplicates, which is a problem. But we are going to reduce the font size because the font size is going to be massive. So I can say the font size is 24. Then we have the margin top to be the medium size. Then this is going to be the question number. Then beneath that, we're going to have the question itself. It's going to take a variant of, I guess you know that, and a color of white, and it's going to take a margin top of extra large. Then inside it, I think, okay, we have the, inside it we have the question. And let's save that and check back. It says, I think it's because, let's just put something random here. Let me just say blah blah. So each question, I actually can see it sliding, but the question that we are passing from our array, we kind of console.log something here. Console.log question. And let's check in our console. Of course, this is string. Okay, guys, I think I'm the one that made a mistake. This is just a string, not an array. So back here, we can just bring down the question. And let's refresh. Okay, right now you can see we have each of those questions here, showing us that we have already reached this level. So the next thing now is to create a box that is going to contain our answers. So back in questions over here, we have this box. So beneath that, we are going to have another box. It's going to take a style. So this style is going to take the flex of font, take the remaining height. Then we have the background color of white. And inside that box, let's just give this a height. We have to give it a height because we are going to have the next button. So this took 30%. This can take 40%, that's 70. The remaining height goes for the button. Okay, let's just do it that way. So you can see the height is 0.4 times the screen height. And let's give it a little big padding top, which is medium. Then inside there, we're gonna have the view. So this view is going to be coming from our animated view. Of course, there's nothing special there. Just to get a view. You can even use the React Native normal view. So we have the view. Then inside here, we're gonna have a style. Inside the style, we are gonna have a background color of theme.colors white. For the transform. Okay guys, the way this one works is this is gonna take a very large amount of size. Then we are gonna translate that the width of this as we scroll together with the top. Take for example, when we scroll on this, we want to get the X value and use that X value to animate our answers on each single part or any single transform property. So as you move on, you're going to understand it, but let me kind of tell you what to, show you what we mean. So this is going to take the width of the width multiplied by the questions dot length. Then it's going to take a flex direction of row. Then it's going to transform the content. So it's going to transform from translate X to, we have to multiply it by the X value, we're going to get to -1. So for the X value, we are going to use from React Native Redash. So we are going to get the let's say, let's import from React Native Redash. So guys, I even forgot what to do because I was lost in what I was saying. So we'll bring in the use scroll handler. So for the use scroll handler is going to give us the X value, which is going to bring the use scroll handler function. So we can get the X and also we can get the scroll handler. So over here we can just pass the scroll handler, which is going to allow us to use this the X value. So it's not accepting this co-event total. So hopefully that this should run in 60 FPS, but I didn't expect it wouldn't accept that. So let's save this. You may not actually see anything here because we don't have a background color friendly. So let me just change this to danger. So we should get something there. Okay, we have only the width, we don't have a height. So let me check whether we do have a height. So the height is going to be coming from a container, because if we add a height here, it wouldn't make sense. So let's create a component called answers. And let me just export answers. So back in the question component, since we have different answers from our array, we need to also loop. So we can say questions.map. So we are not retrieving anything now. We just need the index. It's going to map everything. So over here, we can bring in the fragments as usual. We can give it a key of index. Then inside there, we are going to bring in the answers component. So inside these, we are going to pass some couple of things. Okay, we need the answers over here. Let me see whether I can grab that. We have an object. Can get the answers, yeah. So let's save that and check. So you can see this kind of doesn't do anything, so it's not a function. The scroll on scroll is not a function. So, and I think that's because we are not using the animated scroll view. So the scroll view we are using is from the wrong source. So I'm gonna use the scroll view from animation scroll view. And let's try that again. And you can see automatically that looks very nice. So it slices the width of this to the interval of the current width that we need. So that looks pretty fine. So I have to pass the answers over here, and I have to come over here and loop the answers and get what I want. So it's going to take an interface, answers props. So the answers is going to be any, or just going to be a string of an array. Then we have we are gonna have the last one. It's gonna be optional. Okay, we don't need it. We don't need this. We need the non-press, which is going to return a void. Then we have the answer. No, we don't need this for now. We don't need the answer selected. So I'm just going to bring answer props here, which is going to take in the answers. I'm going to wrap everything here in a view. It's going to take a style.container. Then we have the answers as an array. So each of those answers is going to be looped because we want to display each answers of each item. It's going to map everything. The index. Then inside here we're gonna have a fragment, pass the key of index, and inside the fragment we are gonna have an answers button. So we already created the answers button. We don't even need to stress ourselves on that. It's going to accept an answer which is going to be coming from answers index, and it's going to have a variant of primary. Then it's going to have an on-press event handler. So this on-press is going to accept a function called answer selected. So for now, let's just leave that one. We are still going to come back to it. Let's go ahead and create the styles that we need for now. So at the top here, I'm going to create styles. This is going to take the style sheet dot create. So let me import that style sheet. So it's going to take a style sheet dot create. We have the container flex of 1. We have to justify the items to center. Then we can align the items to center as well and give it a padding of 40. Let's give it 44. And that's the only thing we need for now. And let's go ahead and save and check back. And you can see we have a very nice looking buttons with each of our answers. So when we scroll like this, you can see automatically it brings us to the next one. So let's quickly go ahead and finish the one for finish the bottom part. So we wrap this on a white background, and so beneath this we are gonna have a view. So this view is going to take the same height, I think. Okay, I don't really need this. I don't really need that. I want to create a view for. Okay, it's going to take a view. So guys, this tutorial is getting really long, and I'm going down a little bit. So the width is going to be same thing, width times the question length. Then we are gonna have a background color of white. Then we can give it a flex direction of row. So let me kind of check something, guys. I think, okay. So I was thinking, okay, for this we are going to still animate. We also have to animate the view for the buttons, because it's not only one single button, which means we are still going to loop and get it according to the number of buttons that we have. Okay, because we are going to pass the last one to the button. So what we have to do right now is also continuing this. We also have to transform. Let me just grab this and paste this down. Yeah, so the error is not disappearing. We have this view. Okay, so inside this view is also translating, but this one is not gonna have a height. It's gonna have a flex to take the remaining weight. So I can give it a flex of 1. The minimum height, I mean, not the width, because we already gave this a width. Then inside of it, we are still going to loop the same way we looped with this. And we are gonna remove this one, and we are going to, for this one, we're going to give an object, and then we can return a JXS and wrap everything back to a JSS. This is an object. So guys, sorry for this little delay. This is an object. We have this. This is going to return a JXS of fragment with a key of index. Okay, that's working perfectly now. Then inside there, we are going to return a view. So this view is going to have an inline styling of flex of 1. It's going to take a width, and it's going to justify the content to the center. It's going to also have a padding of 20. So let me kind of remove that flex from there. And inside this view, we are now going to bring in our button. So our button, as usual, with so I think it's the second one, with a variant of primary. Then we have the label. So the label is going to be, the label can be next, but let's get the last one. So we can say the last one, if it's last, we have to define that with the index. So we can say if the current index is equals to the questions.length -1, we are on the last one. So we can say if we are on the last one, it's gonna return submit, or else it's going to return next. You can add a text transform to uppercase. Then we can give an onPress function. So the onPress function is going to take the scroll ref that we define. So we can say if last, don't do anything. But if it's not the last one, we have to check whether there is a, okay, we can just take the scroll, but the current value dot get the current node. Then we can scroll to this offset, the x, which is the width, multiplied by the index plus 1. and we can add animated to true. So let's save that and check our application. That looks very nice. We can think, why is it at the left? That looks nice, but here, I think in the answers, just file everything to the center. So when you click on next, it's actually working perfectly, but let's kind of align the items to center. Okay, so guys, we are done with the question screen and also the answer and question screen. So if you want to prevent a user from actually going back, you can just come over to the scroll view and we can just say pointer events of none. So I think that should block the user from actually using this. Oh, I don't know why it's not working, but or maybe we can overlay this. Yes, you can actually overlay this. Let's say in this scroll view we can add a box, or since we have, okay, we can add a box over here, then we can add a style. This one we're gonna be making use of a normal style, so you can say style sheet dot absolute fill object, and you can say, okay, by default this transparent, and that should overlay it because if you add a background color of red, yeah. So let's set the pointer events to none and get rid of this one and get rid of this background color. It's still not working. But guys, this has kind of shown you a way you can actually do something like this. But so don't worry, in the next part we are going to totally go over to the API request, grab our question, fill it, and then we do the calculation, and at the end we are going to create this screen to actually notify the user whether the user actually made fine or made a good grade or a bad grade. So thanks for watching and being with me for the past 1 hour. So do make sure you hit the like button and also the subscribe button, and see you on the next part. So in the last part, guys, we were able to complete our quiz application design. So exactly what you see on the right side of the screen is exactly what we completed. And right now, let's go ahead and perform the operational parts where we are going to make a request with the OpenTDB API. So first of all, I'm going to open that link. So I'm just going to open opentdb.com and I'm going to generate an API. So I'm going to select a maximum of 10 questions, and I'm going to select any category, and I'm going to select any difficulty, as well as I'm going to add a multiple choice over here. I'm going to leave the default encoding and just click on generate. Then I'm going to grab this link. So we are going to create a helper function. So I'm going to create that in the component directory, helper.cs. So for now, I'm just going to paste that, and we are going to come back to use this. So right away, let's go scroll a little bit up in our question component. So the first thing we need to do over here is to define some initial state values and also some set state values. So if you're familiar with React hooks, you will understand what I'm talking about. So I'm going to import the use state and also the use effect. So the first thing to put over here is the quiz loading, and I'm gonna put up the set queue loading. Just going to use a state of false, and this is a boolean. So guys, sorry for this. So over here, this is a boolean. So the second one is all questions. So all questions is going to be an array, which is going to use a state. So for the all question, like I said, it's going to be an array. We are still going to come back to this, but for now, let's just put an empty array Now allow that. Then we have the user selected answers. Set user selected answers. And then we are going to set that to the use state of as well as empty array. So it's going to also accept some couple of object properties we are going to manually define. So let me kind of check whether I can see that. Okay, okay, I've seen it. So let me just quickly put it down. So it's going to be called current answer objects props. So let me go ahead and define that type. So I'm just going to export type of current answer object props, which is going to be an object that is going to get us the question, the answer, which is a string as well. Then we have the answer is correct. We have the boolean, and then we have the correct answer, which is a string. So that's it for this user selected answer. So any answer we select is going to be in this structure, and that's going to automatically return this for us. So we shouldn't be getting on this. So it's never assigned to a parameter of type of current objects. So for now, let's just leave it and go ahead. We'll still get back to this. Then we are going to define the score. So each answer is going to increment our score. So let's just set a score. It's going to use state. So if you can know, you should know that we are going to be using number for that. Then we also have the current quiz number, which is going to accept the set current number, and it's going to use state of number as well. And then we have the total question. So we need the total questions, but for now we are not going to set anything because we just want a simple value, which is going to use the state of a number, and the default value is going to be the 10 generated questions. Then we have when the quiz is over, which means whenever the quiz is over, we are going to set this value to true. So we have set quiz over. It's going to use state of boolean, and the default value is false. And we also have the scrolling. So the scrolling is going to determine whether the user is actually scrolling or whether user is in a stable position. Take for example, when you swipe, let's say you swipe between questions. So whenever you scroll this, we want to actually display something like maybe something like a dot or a loading icon for the next slide, so that it doesn't just look stagnant, or it doesn't just look non-interactive. And set scrolling to the use state, and it's going to be a boolean default of false. And so over here right now, we need to now go over to our helper function and define some constants over there. So back in our helper function, let's go ahead to define a constant. So the first thing we are going to define is something similar to Lodash. So if you're familiar with how Lodash works, it's kind of generates something like reshuffles a random array. So we want to create something that reshuffles our answer. So we are going to be using a Lodash similarity. So we are going to be accepting an array of any number, maybe number or string. Then it's going to give us a callback of we spread that array. Then after spreading that array, we need to sort that array. Then in the sort, which is going to give us a callback of math.random, then we can just add 0.7. Depending on any number you choose there, just add it over there. Then the next thing is to define our enum. So the enum is going to be used for our next example. So let me just define export enum, which is going to be the questions difficulty. So we have easy, which is easy. So guys, sorry for that little noise. We have the medium and we have the hard. So for the medium, it's gonna be medium, and for the hard, which is gonna be hard. Then we also have to export the type of quiz props. So before we touch for the quiz props, there is something we need to do first. So let me not just rush that for now. So going back here, we now have to create a method called start job. This is gonna be a call, give us a function, and we're gonna use that function whenever our component did mount. So we just start job. So this start jobs is the one that makes the request and grabs the questions for us. So in the start job, whenever our component loads or whenever our application loads, this question components, the first thing to do is to set the queue loading to true, set the quiz over to false. Then we have to now get new questions. So the new questions will now lead us to create something that we are going to, something that is going to return, a function that is going to return a promise, and then we are going to name it grab quiz questions. So the grab quiz questions is a function which is going to accept total number of questions, and it's going to now get a shuffled array. So take for example, what I mean by shuffled array is when we go back here, we can see we have a difficulty of easy, hard, and medium. So we define this questions difficulty, and let's go ahead and do that. So we are going to create an object above, which is going to be called shuffled difficulty. Yeah, it's going to be using the function that we defined. So we're gonna import that function, and we have to use the enums that we defined as well. So we have the question, so we called it question difficulty.easy, question difficulty.medium, and question difficulty.hard. So right here, we're just gonna pass that over here. So let me just put the shuffled difficulty, and we are going to be selecting the first value from that shuffled difficulty. Of course, this is going to return an array for us. So we just use that first value. Now, coming back over to our helper, let's save that. Coming back over to our helper, we are going to create a function called grab quiz questions. So I'm just going to export const grab quiz questions, which is going to give us a function. So it's going to be a type of return type of promise. So let's just, and it's going to be an assign function as well. So we're going to add an assign function, and it's going to return a type of promise of quiz state props. So don't worry about the quiz state props. I'm going to show you how we get that. So before we get there, let me just go ahead and finalize everything that we're going to create here. So the first thing we need to do is to get the total questions and also get the difficulty. So the difficulty is going to be coming from the questions difficulty. So right away, we have to define our endpoints. So I can just say endpoint is equals to, then we can now grab our URL at the top. So I'm just going to paste that, get rid of this, bring this up, and close this down. So guys, hopefully I know that you guys can see this. So this is just a string. Okay, sorry, this is a number to a number of questions. Then you can just close that properly. Then it's going to make a request that is going to return a promise. So if you're familiar with how JavaScript fetch works. This is just similar to that. So we just have to return, just have to make a request with that endpoint, and we now have to return a JSON value. Let me kind of console.log data so that you guys can actually see what we've done so far. So coming back here, we are going to fix this immediately, which is going to grab it from helpers. And that's because we need to add an async flag there. Oh, sorry guys. So let's save and open our console. So if everything works perfectly, so let's allow the reload. So you can see we automatically get 10 random questions from our endpoint. So this random question is an array of objects that is going to, the first part is the results object, which is going to have an array of objects with category, correct answer, difficulties, incorrect answer, and as well the question and the type. So let's go ahead and fix that. So coming back here, we are going to change this to amount. Oh, sorry, that's total number of questions, not amount. Then for the category, we have to, I think we just have to remove the category because we don't want it to be a specific question. We want to be a random questions. Then for the difficulty, we use the difficulty, and for the type is always multiple, so we can leave the type to be like that. So let's save and check again. So you can see our array just popped out again. So we have everything working perfectly. And right now let's go ahead and return a value to these quiz questions because we are assigning it here as a constant. So the next thing I have to do is to return data.results, which is going to return a map of quiz. So let me just do this way. So this map is gonna be coming from the quiz props, which will now lead us to create the add everything that we need in the quiz props. So in the quiz props, we need the correct answer, all these key values that you see over here. So let me just quickly go ahead and add that. We have the category, which is a string. We have the correct answer, which is also a string. We have the difficulty, which is a string as well. We have the incorrect answer, a string. We have the question, which is a string. Yeah. And then we have the type lastly, which is also a string. So over here, we've assigned it to that quiz prop, and we are going to create our own object, which is going to spread the quiz props, and also is going to return for us our answer. So our answers is going to be a random answer, thereby allowing us to use our function that we created at the top, which is the load-similarity function. Then over here, we are going to spread from the quiz props. We are going to just select the answers. Yes, from the quiz props we get the from the quiz props dot answer dot correct answer. Yeah, then we now spread everything from the answers, from the incorrect answers, sorry. So this is a string of an array, not actually a direct string. So let's save that. And coming back to our function, we can just go ahead and console.log new questions. So let's check whether everything returned perfectly. Let me just add something different. So allow that to refresh. Okay, we couldn't console.log that because we are actually returning a promise. So what you can do is coming back here, because we are returning a promise, we have to assign that over here, a promise of quiz props. So because we are adding an answer, we are going to define something called quiz prop state, which is going to export the type of quiz prop state. This is going to give us the quiz props and the answers. It's going to be a string of an array. So let's save that and let's check again. So guys, I'm going to reopen this application and let's check our console once more. And right away you can see we have just an array with the quiz prop state. So it included a new object called answers. So you can see an answers object over there, which is a key value with an array of shuffled answers. So that's how we can generate a random answer. So coming back to our question, so we have to now set all questions to the new questions. Then the next thing is to set the score to 0, and we have to set user selected answers to just an empty object. Then we have to set the question loading. Whenever the question is done loading, we have to set that to false. So let's go ahead and notify the user that the question is actually loading. So where is these things coming from? Okay, let's go ahead and notify the user that the question is actually loading. So right away at this top here, we can just add something like this, or let's just add, let's check our question container, which contains only the children. We can just add something like this and wrap everything into this little fragment. Then at the top most here, we are just going to check whether the quiz is loading. If it's loading, we are just going to add a view, or we just allow this to be that way. So coming down at the bottom, we just have to end this, going back at the top there. So let's just add something like now to fix that error, and then we add a JXS that is going to contain a view, restyle of, we just want it to take the absolute fill space. Then it's going to justify every content to the center, as well as they align the items to the center. Then we have to give a background color of theme.colors primary. Then the content is just going to be a text with a color of white and a variant of body. Then we just add quiz loading. So let's save that, and you can see automatically we get that quiz loading, and whenever it is ready, that gets out. So let's do it again and check. So that's really cool. So going back at the top here, I forgot to add an array over here because this is just an object that's going to be returned over there. So we have everything set, and we can grab our quiz right away and also load our quiz. Let's go ahead and make the necessary replacement from our array. So this question, I'm going to change it to all questions. And if you can always recall, everything is just similar to everything there. So let's just check. And right now we can see what is the capital of Peru. Cashmere is a wolf, which kind of animal. So let me not just focus on that for now, and let's just pass the index. We can pass the index, and also we need to define the question number. So I'm just going to come here and define the question number. So the question number is just going to be a number, and we have to now say question number question number. So guys, do not forget to hit the like button and also the subscribe button. So that gives us that question number. So back here, all I just have to do is to select that question number to be the current number plus 1. Because it's going to start with 0, so this current number By default is 0 because each array starts with 0, but we are going to add 1 to it, and we are going to increment it on every next slide. So let's save that. Coming back here, we can just text align everything to center, and that should give us a perfect layout. So we have question number 1. So it's just going to be like that for now until we fix the necessary things that we have to fix. So let's come over here and change this to all questions as well as in this one, all questions, and that should solve them. So we should have the necessary things over there. So I know that we are going to have something like this because while developing, I made a little mistake in that, but we are going to fix it right away. So the way we can fix that is to make sure that the array that is returned from every hour of our answer is actually coming from all questions. So we use all questions.length, and going back also to the button, we use all questions.length. So let's save that and check again. So after our quiz is done loading, you should get a perfectly nice layout. So the button seems not to be the same. So we have all questions. So that is because over here we're using the questions as well. So let's check that and see if that fixes our error. And automatically everything is perfectly okay. And we can click on next and go to the next, of course, because we are not using the next row. We are not using the correct number to actually handle things. So that's how we can actually grab our questions and preload them. Now let's go ahead and work on the answer that is currently selected. Whenever the user clicks on any answer, we have to check whether that answer is correct. And that will lead us to creating a method called answer selected. So let's first go over to these answers. I think I didn't even spell this incorrectly, but no issues. So we're going to create a function called answer selected. So it's going to take in the answer, which is actually a string, and also the index of the answer, and we're just going to return a void. And also we are going to, okay, this one is a number. We are going to bring it down here called answer selected. So whenever we click on this, all we just want to do is to return a callback that is going to get the answer selected, and the next thing is to pass the answer object array. Then we can pass the index of that, then we can pass the current index. So the index itself is coming from this our answers map, and let's go ahead and create that function. So let me just copy this. So guys, do not forget to hit the like button and also the subscribe button. And if you wish to buy me a coffee, no problem. My throat is always open to take that. So we can just create a function called answer selected. Now this answer selected accepts the answer, which is a string, and also the index of the answer, which is a number. So going back to our answers, we're just going to bring in the answer selected over there. And let's go ahead and work on that function. So inside this function, whenever a user selects an answer, let's kind of console.log this to make sure that we are getting the exact answer that we selected despite the current index of the question, the position of the array. So let's go ahead and click on Los Angeles. You can see Barcelona, So let me kind of increase this a little bit. Moscow, Tokyo. So everything is working perfectly. And whenever we click on our answer, we have to check whether the quiz is over. So if the quiz is not over, we have to. So guys, I've spoken too much. We have to check if the selected answer is correct answer. So we can just say answer is correct. So this answer is correct is going to take from all questions, and it's going to take the current question number that we are currently at, and it's going to take the correct answer. So we are supposed to be getting that recommendation from here, and that is because I've not yet passed that property, and that is quiz prop state. Quiz prop state. So that is an object, not just, yeah. So that should help get the correct index, and you can see we can get the correct answer. Then we have to check it against the correct the current answer we selected, which is this current answer. So we can even use optional chaining, but no problem. Then we have to increment score if the answer is correct. So we can say if answer is correct, if that value is true, we have to set the score to, we can get the current score, and we can just take that call back. It's actually a number. You can just say the current score plus 1. So that's how we can calculate our score, and also save current answer into all answer objects to user selected answer. So guys, you may see me calling array object is because of Java, and we can say current, we can just define a current answer object. So let me just say current answer object, which is going to be an array. We can say the question to be all question, the current number dot question. Then we have the answer we selected. Then we have the answer is correct. Then we have the correct answer. So this correct answer is going to be from the question again, and the correct answer. So this is totally wrong. So you can see that the similarity that we defined here is exactly what we defined at the current object props. So I spelled this wrongly. So you can see it's exactly what we did there. So all I just have to do is to set the user selected answers. First, we need to get the previous answers. So let me say current answers is going to now spread the current answers that we have previously in our array. If anyone exists, then we can now pass the current answer object. So if we did everything wrong, it's going to show us that red line. Like let's say I used a direct string over here. So if I use a direct string over here, you can see we get an error because of this TypeScript feature. We just restricted it to that type of array. So that's why I love using TypeScript. Then we can just pass that current object once more and save. So that have solved it for setting up the answer. And the next thing we have to do now is to check. Let's go ahead and check if the, okay, this is going to populate the objects. I have to check. We have to check whenever the user selects this, when there is a change to selected user answers. So we have to use the use effect once more. So I'm going to come a little bit down and use the effect of a callback object on this wise user selected answer. So whenever there is a change over here, we want to console.log user selected answer. So let's kind of check that. So at the first we are going to have an empty array, and when we select, okay, automatically you can see we have each question is going to be populating. Each question answer we selected is going to be populating there. So we have to check if the user selected answer dot length is greater than 0, and we just have to call the next question. So the next question is a function that we're going to define. So we don't even really need to bother ourselves whether to check the score, because the select answer itself, answer selected itself, set everything for us. I'm going to create that method right away. So it's called the next question. It's just a simple function. So the first one you have to do is to move on to the next question, if not the last question. So we have to check if the quiz is not over, first thing, and also we have to check if the current number is less than all question.length, because you don't want to exceed the normal questions, -1. So why we -1 is because it's going to be 10, but when we remove 1, it's going to be 9 because array starts from 0. Then we have to set the current number to number plus 1, or else we have to set quiz over to true. So that means that whenever this is false, it's going to set the quiz over to true, which is now going to restrict this from moving on. And because of that, we now have to check for this current number whenever there is an increment in the current number. And with that, we can now scroll to the next question. So we can use effect on this wise again, that the current number changes. So the current number is usually 0. So if it's not quiz over, we must move over to the next slide. So we also have to check if there is a current thing in the scroll. So the scroll is a reference to our scroll view. So if you watch the previous part, we talked about the design. We designed everything manually. You can see how we did everything. So we get a current node, and from this current node, not here. We can just get the scroll.current.get the current node .scroll to. We scroll to the x-axis of width, multiply it by that current number, and also we have to just add a little bit of animated true, and that solves it for it. And let's go ahead and try our application once more. So let's say I select any answer, automatically it moves me to the next one. So our answer seems not to be at the center, and that is because in the answer button, I'm just going to align this to test align to center. So let's go ahead and check, and that's perfectly good, and that's perfectly good as well. It's going to move on to the next, and when we click on this, it moves to the next question as well. So for this one that whenever we click on the next, we don't want it to just be like that. We want to use the next question. So the next question is a function that is going to check everything. So let's just go ahead and add that to this button. So we are going to get rid of this, and we're going to get rid of this, and we're just going to add next question over here. So we can even just get rid of everything here. So guys, sorry for this. Next question. And let's go ahead and save. So whenever we click on next, it's going to still compute everything for us, and it's going to move to the next, so which is perfectly working. We don't want to be using that default scroll feature, so let's allow everything to be on a single method. So guys, the next thing we have to do is to work on this last screen over here, because this is the screen that is going to actually display our score, whether we failed or whether we passed. So when we started this tutorial, we on the GitHub repository, you're going to find these two icons, the bad and the good icon, which is going to tell the user whether the user failed or passed the quiz. And that will lead us to creating a function called finished, or let me just name it alert.tss. So it's just going to be a React Native function. I'm just going to accept some couple of parameters. So the first thing we have to do is to create create the interface at the top. So I'm just going to create an interface called alert props. It's going to accept an animation node because we're going to be using animation to actually make this to pop up. So it's going to come from reanimated and it's going to be a node value of number. And the next thing we are going to also add is on restart. Whenever the quiz finishes, we click on this button. So let me show you. You can see this button over here. We want to restart the quiz, which is going to be a function that is going to return a void. And the last one is the user answer, which is going to be anything for now or undefined. So inside here, we can just use that alert props, and we are going to bring in the finished, on restart, and user answer. So what I have to do now is before I start the calculation, let me just go ahead and work on the design aspect of this. So guys, I know that this tutorial is already taking time, but let's just go ahead and quickly finish everything. We're gonna use animated view. So inside this animated view, it's just going to be similar to the way the loading layout is. So it's going to spread and take off the whole width and the whole height. So let me go ahead and import that from React Native style sheets. Absolute fill object, and it's going to have a background color of 0, but we are going to give it a 90% opacity. Then we can justify every content there to the center and align the items to the center. And for the opacity, we are going to do that manually. So that's absolute fill objects. So let's go ahead and save this and import it over here. So at the bottom, let's say at the end of, and that is over this one, I'm going to import that here called alert. And let's check our application. So it automatically should cover this up. Spell a string, and let's kind of make this for now. Let's make it optional and check back. So guys, I think I don't want to extend this more than 2 hours. I'm just going to grab this part and just paste that, and we can go through it. So right away, let's go ahead and go through it. So we just have to notify, we have to first bring in a finished animation, which we are going to define ourselves. But the on restart is going to totally take us to the start navigation. So that's it over here. So let me just, okay, we are going to create the function from the other component, which is not a problem. But the user answers is the user selected answers. Then the percentage is going to be coming from our user selected answer. So for this user selected answer, let's say from this user answer, we are going to loop through each user answer, get the ones that are correct. For each ones that are correct, we increment this number. Then we set that number to the correct answer. So let's say we have the total of 4 correct questions. We set that to the correct answers over here. So you can see correct counts over here. So that's exactly what we did here. Then for the percentage, it's very simple. We take the correct answer, divide it by 100, multiply it by 10. So I actually did it another way around so that you can actually have more understanding. Even if you multiply this directly, it's still going to give you the percentage, but for more simplicity's sake, you have to re-multiply it with 100 to get the actual percentage. Then we set the percentage, and for the calculator, we just use the function, and for the user answers, that's it, no much thing. So that's how we did it. The design is exactly what you see on this app. So guys, I'm going to make available the GitHub repository so that you can have access to the full source code. You don't have to worry about that. So the design is just there, very simple. We just define the height and align this to a flex of start, I guess. Okay, we aligned it to a center, give it a height. Then this one is the height for the icons. While this one is I think a height for a box, something like a white box that is going to cover something. Then I can't recall much exactly how I did it, but I'm just trying to explain things for you so that we don't delay again. Then we have everything and also this on restart. So let's go ahead and create the animation. So I'm just going to quickly create a finished animation. And also I'm going to add one more thing on restart. So this on restart is going to be a function. It's going to return a callback, and the callback is going to, first of all, let's first go ahead and define the animation before we handle that on restart. So I'm going to name it finished animation. So it's going to define an animation value, const finished value, which is going to use a value from redash of 0, and it's going to use a number. So we are going to use back in the use effect. Okay, we're going to define a new use effect. So this use effect is only going to work whenever the quiz value changes. So the quiz over changes, sorry. So we have to check if quiz over. So if the quiz is over, we have to just increment that value to 1. So we can say finished and then value.set value to 1. Then we use that animation to create a smooth with transition. So you can actually make it in a way, if you actually watch some videos about animation in my channel, you can actually see how we did this. We're just going to take in the finished value, and it's going to accept some things from React Native, let's say the Spring utils that make default config. So this is just like creating something smooth. Then the dampen to new value of 10. So let me just make it like 10. So that's how we can do that. And we are not supposed to be seeing this little. Okay, and that's because this is supposed to be a box. Let's add a box over here and put it over there. So that looks better. So that error goes away. So at the bottom, let's go ahead and finish everything. So whenever we click on restart, the first thing we have to do is to set back that finished value to 0, and we have to start the job once more, and we have to navigate. So for the navigation is going to, I think I installed React Navigation hooks. Okay, I didn't do that, but let's kind of define our stack navigator props, and at the top here we can just create the interface called question props. So the question props is going to take a navigation parameter, which is going to take the composite a navigation prop, I guess. Yeah, navigation prop, and each of these is going to accept 2 types of navigation, which is stack navigation prop. So the first one, we have the onboarding routes, and there we have the welcome and the stack navigation prop of we have the app stack routes with question. And coming down here, we can now navigate Sorry for that, guys. I didn't bring it up. I didn't put it here as a parameter. So we can just use the question props. Oh, so guys, what's going on with me? So let me just put the object first, then oh, I wrote precision, so that's the problem. So here we can bring in the navigation. Down here we can just navigate back to, I think we have the welcome route. So that should solve it for our quiz app. So something actually misplaced because of this. So let me cut this out. And that is because this is supposed to be a flex of 1 to make use of the whole width and the whole height. So we can say flex of 1. And let's save and check back. So everything seems to be working perfectly. And while we scroll on to the next question, so it's still reloading. Try to register 2 views with same name. And I think that's because we are having double view over here. So let me just grab this down and format that properly. And let's go ahead and save. Okay. So guys, you can see it. Everything seems to be working perfectly. And let's kind of go over to the last question to see whether everything is going very fine. So we have, I don't even know about Cristiano Ronaldo. We have the 6th question. We have the 7th question. 8th question. The last one. And whenever we select this, it's supposed to calculate for us. And that's it. So everything we did worked perfectly. So you attempted 7 questions and you only got 3 in the quiz test. So when we click on this, it's going to navigate to the start screen. And when we click on start over, it's going to start afresh. So that's how we can create a full quiz application. So guys, my couple of advice for this quiz project is, one thing is that it's not a production application. It's just an application to teach you the Fullstack React Native, how to work with API requests in React Native, and actually use it to build a very nice application. So you can see we apply the Restyle, we apply some couple of way of creating the buttons, and all these things are things that can make your your development mode to be sweet. So you can see we've created a full stack quiz application that is working with API requests. So guys, if you wish to buy me a coffee, the link is on the description. You can just click on that and buy me a coffee. And also do not forget to hit the like button and also the subscribe button. Thank you and see you on my next video. Bye bye.